proverb, I am because we are, is the foundation of the ACBN YouTube channel. Tap in for all of our remarkable content and ecosystem mobilization through the phenomenal practitioners and thought leaders we engage on this channel. In the words of Adrienne Marie Brown, things are not getting worse, they are getting uncovered. We must hold each other tight to pull back the veil. Get ready for another amazing ACBN powered interview.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Victor. My name is Clement Asene, and I'm the co-founder of an organization called BIPOC Foundation out in Lethbridge, Alberta, headquartered out here, doing some good work within the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem, serving our community and making sure that we are focusing on economic empowerment, financial inclusion, and representation within our community. We want to begin this session right away here by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we now stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. We have a remarkable panel here today, and we will just go right on to the business of the day. We will go straight to introducing the panelists. We will allow the panelists to introduce themselves, starting with Nerissa, then Clavia, then Alfred, then Ryan, and then Ross. Sister Nerissa, please go ahead.
Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Nerissa Allen. I'm the president of the Black Business Association of BC, and I'm really, really pleased to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clavia Ali. I'm the vice president of the Black Business Association of BC, and like Nerissa, I'm also very excited to be here and to be a part of this session. Thank you.
Can we get Brother Alfred to introduce himself?
Hey, everyone. Good afternoon from Halifax, Nova Scotia. My name is Alfred Bergeson, and I'm the founder and CEO at Tribe Network. We're a part of the Black Entrepreneurship Program, and we're delivering the Black Startup Project in Atlanta, Canada. And yeah, very much looking forward to the conversation today with some of my colleagues. Thank you.
Brother Ryan.
All right, thanks so much, Clement. It's all good to see everybody. This is beautiful. My name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We support entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage to create strategies to grow their companies exponentially. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I do run a company called Detailing Nights, providing mobile waterless car cleaning. So going to people's houses, cleaning their cars without water, and plant-based eco-friendly cleaning supplies. So thanks so much, Clement.
We'll have Brother Ross go.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ross Kadas. I am the chair of the Black Business and Professional Association, a 40-year-old organization that creates opportunity for Black entrepreneurs across Canada. I'm also the founder and CEO of a company called Innovative Talent Solutions, which is a talent company that supports organizations across Canada with their talent needs, specifically around diverse talent. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to put in a plug for Ryan. Detailing Nights, they do a fantastic job. So please support them if you need your car cleaned.
Thank you, Brother Ross. We do have our remarkable sister here as well, Sister Julissa. Please, we invite you to introduce yourself.
Greetings, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Julissa Brown. I am the executive director of the Table of Impact Investment Practitioners. But one thing that some of us in this world might not know is that I started as an entrepreneur. I actually am the co-founder and president of House of Nine Sorority, and wear many other entrepreneurial hats in between, like many of us.
Thank you, Sister Julissa. We're just going to go right into the panel here. And I'm going to start with you, Sister Julissa. The first question here says, who are some of the most inspiring Black entrepreneurs in Canada you see innovating and amplifying our innate genius as a people?
I would say, I mean, I could definitely go into the Rolodex and pick people out individually, but I definitely would say that it's all of us collectively. There are so many Black entrepreneurs that are doing amazing work across Canada. And I think that whether they are like widely known across Canada or if they are just doing the work in the bedroom of their homes and really producing impact and opportunities for our communities to be able to thrive, those are the people that really inspire me, because regardless of how they might be viewed by the rest of the world and society, they're still grinding and making it happen for themselves and for their families. So I would say each of us in here.
Brother Ross, you want to contribute to that?
I gotta say, I have to agree with you, Jaleesa. There are so many entrepreneurs, and as we all know on this call, people who look like us opt out of corporate Canada and start our own businesses to build generational wealth, right? And you look at, from the people that we all know, the West Halls of the world that have their stories, right down to people that are like Tosin out in New Brunswick, and a number of different folks just trying to grind as well. It's really tough to just choose one inspiring, because I think the journey of an entrepreneur, the minute you say, I want to be an entrepreneur, okay, you gotta, it is that journey that you need to go through. And it's a certain level of respect that we should have for anybody who wants to go on that journey. I also want to say that when I think of anybody that I've spoken to, whether they're unknown, okay, as an entrepreneur, or whether they have done very well, they always say this: entrepreneurship is a very lonely road. So I applaud anybody who goes on that journey, and it's a good one.
Sister Nerissa, what are your thoughts?
I couldn't say it any better. We're all, as entrepreneurs, everyone is a shining light. And I think what we should be doing right now is just trying to spotlight as many as we can. There's so many, as Jaleesa mentioned, that are unknown, but they're still shining. They're still fantastic. They're still amazing entrepreneurs. And I think our journey as supporting organizations is to make sure everyone sees all of these shining lights that they may not necessarily know about. So, we're living in an age of, video and imagery, and people want to see the people behind the businesses. So I think that's where our focus needs to be right now, not just, highlighting one or two, but making sure we shine that spotlight on all of them and give them the acknowledgement and the appreciation that's due.
Thank you very much, Sister Jaleesa. Can we hear from you, Brother Alfred?
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said so far. If there was one entrepreneur I would highlight right now, I'll stick to the East Coast. I'm based in Halifax, and there's an entrepreneur out of Halifax who's been doing some incredible work. Her name is Shantia Upshaw. She goes by the name of Tia. So she's a serial entrepreneur herself. And Tia is someone that, in the past has gone through many challenges and has overcome them. And, through starting her own business, she's been able to find, some sort of freedom. And now she's created an organization called Black Women in Excellence, which is now trying to support other Black women in starting their own business. So I think there's a common thread in a lot of us here where we're entrepreneurs, and at the same time we realize that we need to open the door and allow more people to get access to the resources that we have, the knowledge that we have or have access to. So Tia is someone that on the East Coast I've been very impressed with. She's been a great collaborator with our organization, and if folks in Toronto don't know about her, or folks in other parts of Canada don't know about her, I think you should. So I'm sharing Tia Upshaw.
Well, thank you, Brother Alfred, for sharing one of the best kept secrets. We'll hear from Brother Clavia. What are your thoughts?
Thanks, Clemens. This is a tough one. And I mean, what everyone said is entirely true. I mean, the only thing I could say, if I had to pick, there's two I'm going to pick, actually. There's two. I'm going to say the partners in this room, the people in this room that serve the community, the ones that selfishly decided that we have to help our brothers and our sisters to collectively elevate like the community, right? I think the people in here and those who support them in their network, they are like the heroes. You know what I mean? Because the effort that we're going to be putting out is something that could last. It could probably outlast all of us, the work that we're trying to do, you know, and it likens me to that saying, you can plant a seed for a tree, even though you'll never be able to sit in its shade. And I feel like this is the kind of work that we're doing here right now. We're trying to build that foundation. And I mean, it's vital work. And I think not to take anything away from the entrepreneurs, because we all know what it takes to be an entrepreneur. But I feel like the organizations that really try to support the entrepreneurs, specifically in our community, I think they deserve a hero's medal, because what the work we're trying to do and the tasks and the challenges that we're trying to overcome are really significant. So that's the first one. The second organization, like my man Alfred said, I went to a function of theirs last night, and I think they deserve honorable mention for sure. And that's Ethos Labs. And it's headed by a wonderful lady. Her name is Antonia. And I think the work that she's doing, especially with our youth, and youth is a focus of mine, because we need to equip the next generation with the tools to progress and to continue the movement that we're building right here. So Ethos Labs, they're a tech teaching company, and they teach kids skills to be able to maneuver and to become, I guess, kings and queens in the tech space. And it was really heartwarming to go to their function last night, the Innovation Summit, and to see some of the things that they're involving our kids with mentally, with technology, with electronics, with creation and design. And I think like things like this and projects like this are definitely something that as a community group, whether it's a support organization, an entrepreneur, but just as a Black community, we need to instill these skills in our youth. And so those, you know, apart from us, tech companies, people in that space that are trying to inspire our youth to take advantage of technology and to use it to benefit our people, I consider those like the stars right now.
Thank you very much, Brother Clavia. We're just going to go straight to our next question for our panelists. In your lived experiences, working as entrepreneurs, what are some of the best practices that you feel are essential to scale a business? We're going to start out by hearing from Sister Nerissa on this one.
Starting out a business. So, you know, I had this question at a session I was at earlier this week, and I'm going to have to revert back to the same answers. It's getting the help and asking for the support you need from the start. Don't wait. I know that we have a lot of pride in the Black community, and we don't necessarily ask for the help that we need, but it's crucial to get, you know, accounting and bookkeeping support and have those consultations before you start, so that you start off on the right foot. It's crucial to have discussions with lawyers to ensure that you're setting up your business properly so that you're starting off on the right foot. And I think if you're not sure where to go, then support organizations such as ours, such as Black Chamber, such as Tribe Network, SETSI, Afro-Caribbean Business Network. All of these organizations have the connections that you need, so that they can refer you to the support pieces to help you start your business on the right foot. It's so crucial, and it's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of headache, a lot of mistakes that have already been made by many of us, just by doing that, by raising your hand and saying, I want to start, and I have an idea. I don't know where to begin, and we can help you with that journey. So I think that would be my advice.
Okay, thank you very much, Sister Nerissa. Can we hear from you, Brother Ross?
Yes, great question. So the first thing I'd say is have a roadmap, and your roadmap, your business plan. Understand what that roadmap looks like. And like Sister Nerissa said, lots of organizations, including the BBPA, will have programs that can help you with that. The second thing I'd say is know what you're good at. okay? And know what you're not good at, right? And what you're not good at, get support for it. So when we start as an entrepreneur, we always tend to focus. I think we're good at everything, all aspects of the business. And if I look at my journey, there's certain things that I wasn't good at. So I got somebody to do it for me, either through partnership or I paid for the service. The third thing I would say is from day one, find a mentor, find a coach. There is nothing more valuable than having somebody who's gone through that journey before to just listen to your challenges and guide you through that space. And I always say to entrepreneurs, it doesn't necessarily, it would be great to have somebody from our community, but it doesn't have to be somebody from our community. Find a mentor or a coach who can guide you through that journey. And from a scale-up standpoint, which we have a lot of challenge in our community, be ready and show up. Okay. There's a meeting, there's a networking session, there's an opportunity. Show up and be ready to present. So this is my advice.
Remarkable. Thank you, Brother Ross. Can we hear from you, Brother Alfred?
Yeah, I agree with everything that has been said so far. And for me, I think early on, networking and just valuing networking and relationships has been huge. And I think from a relationship standpoint, just having curiosity about what the other people in the space are doing, and whoever you're networking with or wherever you are, like just being curious about what other people are doing. In the early days, you're trying to understand the climate that you're in, or the environment and the conditions of the environment. And, while as an entrepreneur, you're trying to solve a solution, you're trying to solve a problem, sorry, you don't be so quick to say you have the solution. Like, network with people and be curious. And oftentimes you'll find problems, you'll hear problems. And oftentimes those problems can either validate your solution or it can provide new insights to whatever it is you're trying to solve. So I would say really value networking, the relationships and the people that you meet, and practice curiosity. Don't always go into it, seeking an ask or seeking to speak first and share your idea, your solution. Like, take time to just be curious about what people are doing, why they're doing it, how they do it. It'll inform a lot of what you do moving forward if you have a better understanding of the environment or the climate that you're moving through.
And Alfred, I think that's so key, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we tend to forget that we're the leaders. We are not management, and we seek out problems. We have to seek out these problems and solve them. That's what leaders do. So really, like you mentioned, talking about understanding the problem, entrepreneurs need to fall in love with solving those problems and seek them out, lean into the complexity, and then lean on the ecosystem to help you ease the stress. But there's always going to be issues with your business. Never feel like everything is going to be smooth, but those problems is why you started that business. So I just wanted to kind of piggyback what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Brother Ryan. Brother Clavia, can we hear from you on that one? What are some best practices?
Thanks, Clement. We've all got really good advice from the panelists so far. I think there's not really much I can add to that, except to say I feel like as an entrepreneur, before you engage in that whole journey, I think like it might have been mentioned before, but I think a passion and a love for what you do is critical. I think then when you have that passion and love, it then doesn't become as much of a challenge and it doesn't feel as much like work. Then you couple that with good advice, like my brother was saying, Ross, then you get good mentorship. Narissa mentioned legal, there's accounting. So getting all your pieces together to help you to manage what you're trying to do. I feel like that organizational piece is critical. And there's another, I guess, highly overlooked fact, to be an entrepreneur, you've got to be gritty and determined. You've got to be like my word. No, I like this word, relentless. You've got to be relentless. As a Black entrepreneur, you've got to be damn near indestructible. Like, you have to be able to put up with so many additional challenges and additional hurdles to try to make your business successful, that you have to be very tough. You have to have a tough shell. So like these kinds of practices being, I mean, some of them are personal, they're like personality traits, but I feel like they can also be developed throughout your course as an entrepreneur. But just having that focus and that mindset to learn, to apply what you learn to your situation, like you say, take advice. I think, it's all been covered before by the other panelists, but those key points, I think, along with that determination, are what really make a successful entrepreneur.
Thank you very much, Brother Clavier. Sister Julissa, please share some thoughts on best practices to help scale businesses.
Sure. So I really love what everyone has said, and that's exactly how I started my journey as an entrepreneur. The very first thing I did was get a mentor, because that mentor then became like this example for me to sort of like replicate and see like what are the best ways to go about things, and also of course have a sounding board to bounce some of my ideas off of. The second thing I did was networking, as Alfred said. When I started, so my very first business out of the 9-to-5, well, within the 9-to-5, because it started as the side hustle, was I started my first business as a confidence coach. And I decided that I was going to be the #1 confidence coach in the GTA. And the way that I was going to do that was I was going to network every weekend. I literally networked every single weekend. If I were to count the amount of cards that I received that year, it was like over 250 business cards. The important thing about networking, though, is not just, going to the networking events, getting these business cards, but how can I further those relationships, just as Alfred said. So I won't go any further with that. Next would be something that's very important. And I think that's, discovering or ensuring that you have boundaries within business, boundaries for yourself, understanding, what self-care, is required for you to continue, because if you're not healthy as a person, your business also is not healthy. I would also say in terms of like scaling, building a strong team is very important, because there's only so far that you can go without having a team to support in building. And the last thing I'll say is, put in your hours. Just like the way that, some folks might work and put in their hours for their 9-to-5, you need to put those hours in while building your business as an entrepreneur. And, that could be a number of things, but I think that, in addition to coming to sessions like this, or, going to workshops and things that are led by SETC or the BBPA or ACBN, as entrepreneurs, we all need to put in our hours and do our own research, right? We can't just rely on, hey, BBPA said that I should do XYZ. It can't stop there. Like, you need to continue to do your own research in order to be able to implement, things well for yourself within your own business. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Sister Julissa. We're going to go to Brother Ryan. As it relates to structural racism, anti-Black racism, and systemic discrimination, have there been any instances where the aforementioned barriers have impacted your business or entrepreneurship journey?
I'll tell you a quick story as I'm running Detail Ignite. One thing that happened more often than I thought it would is when I'm in the field working on a car and I'll be with a colleague, maybe a youth that I'm training, and people come up to the car, they're seeing detailers work, and they'll go to my white youth that I'm training, asking them if they own the business and asking them about the car, and then they have to point to me and be like, oh no, actually the owner's over there. So I've grown up in Brampton, born in Canada. These are things that we definitely adapt to, and we know how to not let it piss us off, but you kind of take note and you're like, yeah, this person, you can see their mindset. And the fact that people are always shocked that you're a business owner. That's a stereotype that as I started ACBN with about 6 other entrepreneurs, we had that mission to change the stereotype of Black entrepreneurs so that when you see a Black person walking down the street, your instinct, your initial thought is that that might be an entrepreneur. And so tackling these types of systemic barriers is something that is baked into the system. So we definitely have to understand how to navigate it, but also create our own alternatives. Before, we used to have to go to different entrepreneur centers and kind of deal with how they're perceiving you as an entrepreneur. Now we've created our own organizations that can support Black businesses. And 5 years ago, there weren't a lot. Now there's over 40 across Canada. There's definitely more options to support us. So we don't have to deal with these micro/macro aggressions, and we can just play with be at our own table.
Thank you very much, Brother Ryan. I'm going to go to Brother Alfred. Please share your thoughts. Have you had any personal experiences with any of these?
Sorry, Brother Clement, can you repeat the end of that question? Any experiences with?
As it relates to structural racism, anti-Black racism, and systemic discrimination in your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of the work that we all do is informed by our lived experience, right? We face barriers, we experience things that didn't sit well with us, and so we said, okay, well, we're going to find a new way. We're gonna create a new path. We're gonna create new opportunities. So for me, back in 2015, I started a business in digital media, and I walked into one of our local innovation hubs here called Volta. And so, in every province in the country, we have innovation hubs that are publicly funded. These are innovation hubs that the tax, we pay our taxes and the government funds these hubs. And so Volta is one. There's one in PEI called Startup Zone. There's another one in New Brunswick called Venn Innovation. And in 2015, I had walked into Volta to see if I could access the resources that they share. And, I walked in there and I didn't see anyone in there that was a person of color. I joined programs, or I joined workshops, and there was no facilitators who were people of color, no coaches who were people of color. And while, I stuck around for a few months, but I decided to leave that space because, number one, I didn't feel like I belonged in this space. I didn't feel comfortable, really. And two, the people that I was engaging with to get support on my business were not all that helpful. And, I don't know if it was a combination of not understanding what I was trying to build, or simply just not having the interest to help someone like me. But I kind of walked away, and I went on my journey outside of that space where, everyone should have the access to go get support. So, looking at that institution, that's clearly an institution that has barriers in terms of hiring diverse talent, or, sourcing coaches and facilitators that could support diverse communities. So that was an experience that, for me, kind of, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I said, you know what, I'm not even going to spend any more time in this space. I'm going to go find my tribe. And years later, in working with the Senate and in working on the Inclusive Entrepreneurship Research Project, which I'll put a link in the chat to in a minute here, that's when I realized, like, my experience at the Innovation Hub is other Black entrepreneurs in Canada can relate to it. And they can relate to it not just in innovation hubs, but they can relate to it in banks, in financial institutions, and in other service providers they engage with, not always being helpful or willing to support them on their entrepreneurship journey.
Thank you very much, Brother Alfred. We're going to go to Sister Jaleesa. Do you want to share some thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I will never forget the first time I was invited into a social finance meeting. I was invited by Brother Victor, and I had arrived like just a few minutes before him. And when I had walked into the room, of course, I was the only person of color, much less Black woman. And I remember all heads turned to me like, what is she doing here? Like that was the energy that was put out to me. And I really, in that moment, had to really just know my worth and understand within myself, like I bring value, whether you recognize that or not, just looking at my face, like I bring value, understanding that, and then following it up by actually bringing value and, being confident and, the experience that you bring to the table. To continue, the work that I do now, I'm really surrounded by, what's known to be the old boys club, where it's a lot of older white men in the space. And so, through the application process and as I was being reviewed and, offered this position, basically I was told to, give the salary I was expecting. And I got pushback and received like a lower offer. And when I asked the reason why, they said that it was because this is the first time that I would be seen as with this position of executive director. And I could not accept that. Like I had to push back again and say, well, it might not say executive director on my resume already, but on my resume, I also have not written that I come with, the experience and the lessons that my great-great-grandmothers have provided me with, because, they have already been, journeying through the complicated situations that you're still trying to figure out. That's also not on my resume. Just like executive director isn't there. So again, you really do have to know your worth, know the value that you bring to the table, and don't be afraid to exercise that. And trust me, they will be very surprised that, the young Black woman that they try to discount, or whoever you are and identify as, that they try to discount, is able to offer and bring so much more to the table than they even, first considered.
Thank you very much for your remarkable leadership, Sister Jalisa. We're going to go to Brother Clavier. Can you share your thoughts on that question?
Hey, thanks, Clemens. This is a tough one because I can think of a few instances. I mean, since I've come to Canada mostly, this is an easy one. My career path is I'm an RMT. I'm a registered massage therapist, and I have been for like over 15 years. So being a Black guy in that field presents a certain, a few unique challenges. Firstly, there is the male challenge. Being a male in is a very female dominated kind of industry. And so you have to deal with that sexist kind of thing. Not to say that it's a challenge, it's a problem or a hurdle, but to say there's occasional challenges with that. And then also dealing with the fact that I'm a Black guy in a predominantly white/Indian area, having to try to market the clients, to try to get clients to come in and that kind of thing. And so I remember one particular client, and some of them are very funny. Over the years, there've been a few funny instances. But one client in particular had been having phone conversations. She called our clinic, and she had been having conversations with me, trying to book the appointment. I'm collecting her information. Yeah. I did the brief interview process, and we booked her appointment, and she was fine with everything. I took her permission. She had informed consent. Everything was good. On the day of the appointment, she showed up at my clinic, and she booked in with the reception. She filled out her intake forms. Everything was was great. And then I came out of my treatment room, and I walked into her, and I introduced myself, and I said, hi, Mrs. So-and-so. My name is Clavia. We've been talking on the phone. I'm here. I'm your therapist. So I have the room set up. We're ready to go. And she looked at me and she said, oh, I didn't realize that it would be you. And I said, but you recognize my voice because we've been talking on the phone. She said, yeah, but I didn't, I didn't think that it was you. And I left it right there because I knew if I continued the conversation, I'd probably get a little heated. So I left it right there, and I said, so let me just find out, are you comfortable to continue with the appointment, or would you rather reschedule with another therapist? And she was like, I think I need a moment to decide. And I was like, well, I think you should reschedule the appointment. And so I instructed my front desk to reschedule her. Of course, I knew she wasn't going to reschedule, but I gave her an out, to reschedule it when she felt more comfortable, et cetera, et cetera. But that is kind of one of the most plain as day instances where you can see you're good till they see who you are, and then all of a sudden it becomes an issue. Right. And that's just a minor thing. It's never stopped me from being successful at my career. As a matter of fact, like, I've broken, I think, all of the stereotypes regarding Black guys with dreads in a profession such as mine. So it's a challenge. It's one of those things you got to deal with, but whatever, you suck it up and you keep it moving. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Brother Clavia, for your continuous leadership in the community. We want to go to Brother Ross. Can you please share your thoughts?
I'm sitting here listening to all the stories, and there's one thing to be said, that all of our experiences are similar. I work in an industry. I've been in the recruitment industry for over 25 years now, and there are very few boardrooms that I walk into where there's another Black person. There's very few sales presentations that I make to somebody that looks like me. And so I've been through the gamut of we just don't think we're ready to move forward. Yet 10 minutes later, they move forward with somebody else. So I've had all of those experiences. But one in particular I'll mention, and I'm sure a lot of Black entrepreneurs have been through this, is in the financial services industry, and dealing with the banks is a big one. And I too have had my share of challenges. Walking into the bank, sending all my documentation, and walking into the bank to defend the basis for getting a loan, and the bank manager or the bank rep says, you know what, I don't think, I think we need some more information. I don't think we need more detail before I can take this up the ladder. And the minute you say, okay, can I speak to your manager? The whole tone changes. And he says, oh, let me look at this. Yes, you do. Looks like you do have what it takes. All right. It looks like, yeah. Okay, so I'll send it. Or you say, can I speak to your manager? Or you say, I'll take my chances, send it to underwriting. Okay, I'll take my chances there. And I think, for us as Black people, that first step in the banking system, where that person is making that determination, is always a challenge. When it goes to underwriting, they don't know if you're Black, white, Indian, Chinese. They just see the file as a file. So knowing that and being armed with that, I always use send it up, or I use can I see a manager? And then in this example, I spoke to the manager and I said, tell me what I need here that I don't have. Tell me where we're going wrong. And I'd like you to look at our account and our history, okay, and see where we are. And you know what? They do. And I think it was Sister Jalissa that said, you have to act with confidence. You have to know what you know. And that comes from doing your research, a really understanding. That's from doing the training that some of our organizations offer, like the BBPA BSL project training program, and really understanding how the financial services work, or how the area, whether it be for a job, how that organization works, and doing your research so that you're prepared, because we will face this every day until we don't face it again. So it's important that we know what we know when we face these challenges.
And I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Ross, if I can just amplify your words, because the Black community, the Black business community, they hear so much about these loan programs that are out there, and we have to know how to push back. Even though the doors are open, what Ross is talking about is putting pressure on anybody that is using the Black community to get PR.
And we see the banks, they launch programs, yet a lot of people are still getting declined. So reach out to us, reach out to BBPA, and reach out to ACBN or whichever organization is nearby to say, this is my experience as I'm going to the bank trying to go and get capital, because we can bring that firepower. Like Ross said, when you ask to see that manager, or you let it get to underwriting and let them tell you no. Don't let the gatekeeper tell you no. It's really important because a lot of money is supposed to be flowing and we're not seeing it flow at the rate that it should be. We can help you put pressure. So I appreciate you, Ross, for mentioning that, because that's the big key. Every research that has been said is Black entrepreneurs have trouble getting capital. So let's put some pressure.
Thank you very much for chiming in there, Brother Ryan. We're going to go to Sister Nerissa. As we celebrate Black History Month, what will be the call to action, for Black entrepreneurs across Canada?
I think that, and I'm gonna just tag along a little bit what Jaleesa said, is know your worth, because I'm seeing that what we spoke about just now, what all of the leaders just spoke about, the microaggression that they've dealt with over the years, I feel like it's taking a toll on our confidence. And I'm seeing it even with how we have a retail store right now in Vancouver, and we showcase and sell products from members across the community and the Black business community. And what I'm noticing is that most of them are undervaluing even the pricing of their products. And it seems as though they don't think that they're able to ask and request a fair price for their products. And I'm not sure if this is just a piece of, being constantly hit with these micro and macro aggressions over and over all the time, where they don't think that they can ask the price that's really due to them. And I think what I would say to entrepreneurs is, you have to know your value and you have to stand firm in it. And who appreciates that will buy your product. They will take a part of your service. But if you don't stand firm in your light, if you don't stand firm in your in the confidence you have in the excellence of your product or service, no one is going to do it for you. And I think that if you want to have a sustainable business, you have to take that into account. We can't have, products and services that are undervalued. You have to know the value of your product. You have to know the value of your service, and you have to stand firm in that. And that needs to be reflected in your pricing. It needs to be reflected in your messaging, in your storytelling, in the messaging of your product to the public. It has to be reflected in your essence as an entrepreneur in order to progress. So I think that is one of the main things that I think that entrepreneurs should take from Black History Month is, looking back at all the work that's been done by our ancestors, by those that have come before us to put us in this place today, that we should be taking that as an opportunity to be proud of where we come from and know your worth, and therefore make sure it's reflected in your business and your pricing and your model, your service model, and everything you do as an entrepreneur.
Thank you very much for your remarkable leadership, Sister Nerissa. We're going to go with Brother Alfred. Call to action for Black entrepreneurs across Canada.
Call to action. One thing that we are learning from our programming here on the East Coast is like creating spaces where the peer mentorship can also take place, right? So when entrepreneurs can mentor each other, yes, access to financing is incredibly important, but I can tell you from running our programs for the last, year or about 8 months, is that mentorship and creating the space where experienced entrepreneurs can have sort of, one-on-one time or one-on-three time with emerging entrepreneurs has been extremely beneficial. And so as I guess this is a message for perhaps the ecosystem and entrepreneurs. It's like, as we're building our programs, let's ensure that we're creating space for peer-to-peer mentorship to occur, where more experienced entrepreneurs can train and give input and advice and just support emerging entrepreneurs. And if you are an entrepreneur, definitely seek the advice of your peers as you build. It's hard, it's a lonely road, as Ross said from the start. And if you can find your tribe and your people, and those people support you, you need to lean into that, and you need to get as much as you can out of that. And you also need to give. You can't just expect, but you need to give to those people as well.
Thank you very much, Brother Alfred. We're going to go to Brother Ryan. What are your thoughts?
I was waiting for Alfred to plug Tribe Network. So yes, let's find our tribe. And Alfred, I did want to follow up with you about the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem, having our tribe on the Tribe Network, because the call to action is really to do more of this, talking with each other, sharing notes, understanding what each partner is doing so that we can serve our entrepreneurs better. And the call to action for our entrepreneurs, our Black entrepreneurs in our community, is when you see, and if you know me, I post about a lot of events, things that are happening. I try to keep people informed. But if there are things that are not happening, that you need for your business, reach out to ACBN, BBA, BC, BBPA, whichever acronym you love, but reach out to us, because we need to know what you need for your business. And a lot of times internally, we won't know your experience. So don't feel like what we're putting out is the be all end all. It's customizable. And that was one thing when we did the Black labor market assessment for Black entrepreneurs, is finding out through data and research that some of the programs that we were doing needed to be adjusted. So nothing is set in stone. My call to action is put pressure on us as organizations, and we have the mandate to support your business. Make sure that we're actually supporting your business, and feel free to ask. And hey, I've gotten those WhatsApp messages saying like, hey, when are you gonna cover creating line sheets? And I had no idea what a line sheet was. And it was actually my wife that was asking me. So this is where having entrepreneurs around us, we can like push each other to do better. So definitely put pressure.
Thank you very much, Brother Ryan. We're going to go to Brother Ross. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I'll put it this way: be all in. Take advantage of the programs and the services that are available through the ecosystem, whether it be for the BBPA Bates program or programs from ACBM and other organizations. Know your industry, know the service or the product that you offer well enough that you give the business community and your customers no choice but to support you. Be the best at what you do.
Amazing, succinct. We're going to go to Sister Jaleesa.
My call to action is for us as a community to go back to or go forward in operating as family. When we operate as family together, we don't no longer see each other as competition. We don't see each other as threats. We see each other as family. And what do you do with family? You love them, right? You encourage your family members. When your family member is feeling down or unconfident about something, you provide them with that encouragement so that they can put their best foot forward. With your family, you share food, you share intellectual property, you share opportunities. If there's an opportunity that comes across my table that maybe doesn't fit, I'm gonna say, hey, bro, sis, there's this opportunity. This is for you. Go for that. I'm gonna encourage you to go for that because you're family. With family, I'm gonna back you up. If there's any situation where you need backup, yeah, we do need to squat up and roll up sometimes, all the time, as family. As family, you're also not afraid to correct each other, give each other, that constructive criticism, like, hey, brother, sister, maybe, this could have been a better way of addressing or doing, and also, lastly, as family, you champion each other. When my family members are not in the room, I'm gonna maybe speak up on their behalf, say, hey, say for example, I'm in a conversation, or I have a relationship with an investor or a mentor, or, just a great opportunity. I'm going to say, hey, yeah, guess what? My brother or my sister does this great thing. I'm going to champion behind whatever the things that they do. So yeah, my call to action really goes back to, the elements of family. And if we look at our ancestors, if we even look at other cultures and communities, you see that they're really tight knit. And, us being tight knit as a family is what's going to bring us further.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you very much, Sister Jalisa. I'm just going to throw in, don't stop. Keep doing what you're doing as entrepreneurs. I'm just going to throw that in. I would like to, continue. We would like to keep going. But in the true fashion of Black excellence, we would like to win within 45 minutes to an hour. And because of that, we would like to end this session exactly the way we began. We've had amazing thoughts today. Take them back, go and marinate on them and implement them in your businesses. I would like to end the session the way we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands we're on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all